Good day to you. This May 19th, 2025. I am Pastor Neil Weemus, and this is another recording. I wish I could give a name to my show or whatever. It's just my channel. And I talk whatever's kind of in my mind or what's in my thought at the time. And today we're going to go a little bit pop culture. We're going to talk about particular television. Um, I was so I follow a number of YouTube channels and podcasts and things like that, and I came across ranking. I think the show was it's from the Nostalgia Critic, which I like some of his shows, and he was asking people, what is your three favorite movies of all time or whatever, and I thought, what might be fun to do is a ranking or do kind of like a Mount Rushmore. And I want to do that a few times every now and then. Do like a Mount Rushmore of various subjects. And what I'd like to start with is doing a Mount Rushmore. And it's kind of off the top of my head. And granted, it's not going to be off the top of my head as I record this because I wanted to have some like images of ready to go. But for the most part, off the top of my head. Usually when I do lists, when I do rankings, I do pretty extensive study and research and stuff like that. I create spreadsheets and stuff like that. But for this, I didn't do that. I'm just trying to go, just go off the top of my head. What is my favorite thing of that item? And so what I'm going to do, like I said, my Mount Rushmore of favorite TV shows of all time. So you can kind of get an idea as to what kind of shows that I like. And so, all right, so you're going to see in the background, I'm using Tract.tv. Tract.tv is an app that I've really kind of grown to appreciate. I like the way it looks. It's good for keeping track of my reviews, movies and shows that I watch. I've seen a lot more that's on my dashboard, but I only log stuff as I'm watching it, and I don't log everything I watch, like especially stuff I kind of have in the background while I'm working. I don't log those, but anyways, okay, here we go. My Mount Rushmore of favorite movies of all time, of favorite TV shows. Now, if you're familiar with Mount Rushmore, it's not so much, it's not a ranking like this one goes first, second, third, fourth. It's just these are the four that go on your Mount Rushmore. And I guess you could determine at another time what goes first, what goes second, etc. But really, it's just a matter of these are your four absolute favorite TV shows. So, here you go. This is, like I said, this is on Tract.tv. Like I said, I like the way that their site looks. Apologize, I just clicked something that I probably shouldn't have. Okay, clicked something I should not have clicked. But anyways, first one I'm going with is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This was a show that came out in 1997, and it actually spun off a TV series known as Angel. And I kind of debated with myself whether I wanted to go with Buffy or if I wanted to go with Angel. And it's not an easy answer because Angel, I think season 2 and season 5 of Angel are really, really good seasons of the series. Had some really strong episodes. For me, that's better than any of the seasons of Buffy. But on the flip side, Angel also has seasons 3 and 4, which I really, really struggle to watch. And even though season 4 of Buffy is kind of rough, it's not as bad as season 3 and 4 of Angel, in my opinion. And so it's kind of a toss-up. So I basically ended up going with Buffy because Buffy was the first of the two shows. Buffy got it going. And so, but I love this show because it's vampires, it's demons and all that stuff. And yes, it's got a worldview that sometimes I would take issue with. But ultimately, I like the stories. I like the characters. It's easy to get invested with them. Writing is not always perfect. You know, Xander, who's this character right here, he can get pretty annoying at times the way they write him. But so I love the show, and it is a show that gets you really, really emotional. Some of the, I'll probably do like I could probably do a list of like moments that make me really cry watching TV or movies or whatever. Yeah, Buffy's got a pretty good, quite a few moments that get me teared up. But it's okay to cry. It's okay for guys to cry, right? So, um, so yeah, Buffy is the first one on my Mount Rushmore. Second one, if you're looking at the top at my tabs, you can see exactly where it's going to go, but that's okay. Um, I have to figure out a way to do this a little bit better, but oh well. This is the way to do it. Doesn't take as much work, etc., etc. Okay, so the next one is The Simpsons. And I know The Simpsons is kind of a complicated one because The Simpsons has really gone down in quality over the years. But when Simpsons was in its prime, it was such a good show. It was so ridiculously funny, so witty. I mean, some of the social commentary in this series was phenomenal. I mean, there's a few shows like animated shows that have been very very good. So like South Park, Family Guy, at least in its prime, Futurama. So there's been these type of shows out there, but the thing was, The Simpsons kind of was the one that got it going. And honestly, I think Simpsons in its prime was better than Family Guy in its prime, better than South Park in its prime. And Simpsons Prime, honestly, I'd say it was basically seasons 3 all the way to about season 10. I mean, you do have the hiccup in season 9, the principal and the popper, I think is what it's called. But like season 8 has some great episodes, like Homer's Enemy. I mean, it's possibly the greatest episode of the series. There's the X-Files episode's really good in season 8 as well. But you go back to season 3, it starts out with the Michael Jackson episode, which I know you can't get on Disney Plus. The only way you can really get that is by DVD, or if you're like me and you purchase the whole season online and they let you keep it. But I mean, excuse me. I mean, that episode was hilarious. It's one of the best cameo episodes that there's ever been. I mean, there's so many good episodes scattered throughout, and I love the series. And the thing that also makes Simpsons different from Family Guy or South Park is the heart. It's the heart of the show. It's a show that makes you invested in its characters. And, like, I should say, not, I take that back, not necessarily invested, but it's got moments that it does tug at your heartstrings. One of the examples I always go to is there's an episode where they're looking through the baby photos, and they ask the question, why are there no photos of Maggie? And the whole episode is all about pointing to where Maggie's photos are. And the reveal at the end, it's so heartwarming and touching. And that is, there are moments like that scattered throughout The Simpsons. For a show that is, satirical, it's amazing that it still is able to have heart and to put a tear in your eye even at times. And so, very well written show, very smart, it was a great show in its prime. And like I said, I acknowledge it's really gone down in quality. But when it was at its best, it was amazing. And I could watch The Simpsons over and over and over. Ever since it went into streaming, I think it was first on FX. FX Now, I think, is where it was at before it went to Disney Plus. Ever since then, I've been watching episodes over and over. And I also got like several seasons on Amazon Prime. So, all right. The next show for my television, my Mount Rushmore of favorite TV shows would be Scrubs. Scrubs is, it's a medical dramedy. People call it a comedy, but I don't think it's a comedy because I always hear people like, it's really surprising that you have these touching moments in a comedy, and I'm like, well, that's because it's not a comedy. Oh, I mean, not pure comedy. Does it have does it have comedy in it? Yes. But it's not just comedy, it is a dramedy. It's got comedy and it's got drama. There are moments in the Scrubs that are funny, it's humorous, but there's also moments that are very touching and heartwarming. There are moments that will make you cry. I mean, like, I always go to the episodes of, like, My Lunch, which was in season 5, was such an emotional episode, especially the way it ends, and, that moment where JD says to Dr. Cox, that moment that you start blaming yourself for other people's deaths is a moment you can't come back from. And then he turns around with his eyes, red, because you could tell they're getting ready. He's trying not to cry. He's just broken. And he just says, you know what? You're right. And it just guts you as he delivers that line. Great episode. It's such a great series. And it was a show that made use of pretty much every character. I love this show. So, all right. Next up is the fourth one. I struggled to come up with something because, like, the challenge with picking a favorite TV series is almost every TV series has that point where it fell apart. So, like, I think let's go with, like, a show like The Walking Dead. The first several seasons of The Walking Dead I loved, but then it kind of faltered. And I know Simpsons falls into this, but Simpsons was good for 10, case could be made for basically 10 seasons. It was pretty strong. And that's longer than many shows that even make it. So, The Simpsons isn't quite as big of a problem with that. But, like I said, The Walking Dead kind of fell apart towards the mid, after the third or fourth season, or maybe Game of Thrones. And Game of Thrones was so addictive, but the show was so much about building to that finale, and then it just did not stick the landing. Lost kind of falls into that same category as a show that just did not stick the landing. And so, I don't know if this is the answer. If you ask me tomorrow, I'd probably give you another answer for my fourth show. But right now, I'm going to go with Daredevil. When I say Daredevil, and I know this isn't technically the way it is, I include Daredevil Reborn, or Born Again, which is which is on Disney Plus, and it just finished its season. I kind of lumped these two together because they're in the similar continuity. But Daredevil never had a truly bad season. The second season was rough, but it wasn't terrible. I love Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin. Charlie Cox was great as Daredevil. Matt Murdock, from the first episode of the series all the way through season 3, and then I've enjoyed what they've done with Daredevil Born Again. Do I like it as much as the Netflix? No, but it doesn't mean it's not good. So I guess right now that's what I'm going to go with. Penguin was an amazing series, came out last fall, but that's kind of more of a mini series, and since it's only like a few episodes, I can't really put that on the list. Hasn't been going long enough. But this is where I'm putting at number 4 on my Mount Rushmore off the top of my head. But again, like I said, if you ask me in a few days, I might give another answer. So there you go. There's my Mount Rushmore of favorite TV shows. And as we're talking about TV, I am setting you up for my next video, and I'm probably going to record these videos back to back, is I'm going to talk about this show that I'm working on, and that is Superman and Lois. And so if you want to watch it, just tune in right on to my next video that I'm probably going to release right after this one. So 2 videos in one day, yeah. But first, I didn't want this video to get too long, and so I'm splitting them up into 2 different videos. So have a good day. See you later.